trumpet.
It's a trumpet.
He's playing the trumpet.
It's a trumpet?
Yeah.
Trombone?
No, Nathan, listen again. You are the one who knows me.
No, it's not. It doesn't sound like the
It's a
trombone.
It's a trombone?
Trombone is way bigger.
Trombone is way bigger.
Yeah, it has a deeper sound.
But
Well, our listeners can tell us.
Are you saying it's deep as in sound or?
Yes, in terms of the sound.
Okay. Just go to YouTube and look for the video. You see
He's
what
playing the trumpet.
It's
the
the
short
trumpet.
Almost, yeah. He's playing the short trumpet.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's Citi Mensa. Anyway, on the 21st of this month, we'll bring you the Accra Music Expo. It's happening at the forecourt of the AMA headquarters. Somebody's going to deliver this E.T. Mensa. I'm going to deliver like E.T. Mensa back to back. And it's a big event as one of the things. We even have the Accra City tour in the week leading up to the Music Expo. So it's not just the national tour, it's also the Accra tour. But this morning, the Heritage Caravan has hit the Eastern region, about to set off for the Ashanti region. The caravan is brought to you by the Ghana Tourism Authority, GCB Bank, Hollard Ghana, Malta Guinness, Baltic Ghana, Rigward Petroleum, and Photon Tunland. Let me say good morning to Nathan and Godfrey, gentlemen.
Hello.
Good morning,
Bernard.
How you guys doing?
Fantastic. It was a good weekend.
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
I was happy to be here on Sunday morning when the 4 buses and the 6 other vehicles decided to set off. Charlie, it was like an 11 vehicle convoy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I saw.
It was an
that.
amazing time.
Really good. And I hope they are already enjoying.
No, they're already having breakfast. They are listening to us from a hotel in Abetifi.
Oh, yeah, that's wonderful.
A hotel with an underground thing.
Underground club.
Yeah, so they are enjoying themselves.
Up in the club.
Yeah, man. So they'll be joining us later on as we set off the show.
All right.
But there are lots of stories this morning. Let's go with the headlines.
Lots. Let me start from the front page of the Daily Graphic. The big one says December 7 remains polls day. EC confirms. Unipass takes off at entry points, but freight forwarders criticize move. Kumasi prepares for independence celebration, and Church of Pentecost launches national sanitation campaign.
The Ghanaian Times says adequate preparedness against COVID-19. Ghana needs 35 million cedis to combat disease. That's according to the WHO. Withdraw untested Unipass directive. GIFF appeals to government. West African countries urge to establish power market, and gunmen run amok, shoot, kill assembly member. Son escapes with wounds, wife tortured.
Terrible.
Well, front page of the Daily Statesman, Parliament approves $993 million for Palugo multipurpose dam project, 2.8 million Ghana cedis for coronavirus fight. Photo of Kukwajima, Minister of Health here. We are moving away from export of raw cocoa. Akufo-Addo reaffirms commitment to value addition. While we are watching.
The Finder says universal health coverage in 5 years. President Akufo-Addo sets ambitious target. Importers directed to clear goods through Unipass. Free fire extinguishers for homes locked up at warehouse. And government updates Ghanaians on adequate preparedness towards the coronavirus as of 25th February.
And the front page of the Herald says Jubilee House man uses soldiers to kidnap British boy. Like how the Herald can do headlines without names.
Jubilee House
man uses soldiers to kidnap British boy.
That's so.
If it is you, take it.
Yeah.
MP exposes Esla Uzu's dishonesty in the closure of Radio Gold. Others.
The Chronicle says Jammeh stole $500,000 pension funds to pay compensation to Ghana. That's according to some CSOs. Ghana scraps chew and pour educational system. The export of raw cocoa beans will soon be stopped. The president speaking.
Front page of the Daily Guide, NDC flees from coronavirus politics. A Futu MP makes case for fishermen. Sogakope assemblyman shot dead. A photo of Marcus Mauto Ajali. Really sad story, Bernard. PPA bounces Auditor General. Police robber arrested. And government spends 2 billion Ghana cedis on free SHS annually.
The New Crusading Guide says Akufo-Addo advocates cocoa processing, says being mere producers and exporters not enough. Apenyomakin flies a food to dream project. High Court begins hearing in Erasmus Kwao versus GOC labor dispute today. And MPP plays partial at Ahafuano Hafano North, supporters suspect tribal cards against incumbent.
Front page of the new publisher, Osafo Mafo hot again. Exporters warn his Unipass is a mess. Civil society worried he is misleading the president. The death of the assembly member for Sogakope is also here. And stop jailing a Futu fisherman. Apenyo Markin warns as he launches a Futu dream.
Okay, the Ghanaian Observer says Zongos declare 4 more for Nana as Baumia shakes Shukura. Akufo-Addo urges capital markets remove Africa risk premium from the credit rating structure. We don't want to be mere producers and exporters of cocoa beans, the president speaking. And Tescon president cuts NDC's Isaac Odongo to size over misleading anemic FX analysis.
No be easy.
Well,
still on
the
headlines.
front page of the Informer. The Informer decides to focus on the MPP primaries and says interesting MPP primaries: Baby Pyjamas versus Queen of the Street, Baby Ajasko versus Queen Kantanka.
Okay, still in the headlines.
And the Gold Street Business says dormant businesses giving 7-month grace period to re-register or they get removed from the company's register. Trading rules tighten for FX brokers, and the Economic Times front page says Ghana could lose collateral to Sino Hydro in bauxite-backed loan, IMF warns, and Cocoa Ball to hit 1 million ton production again after 9 years.
Front page of BNFT, importers unhappy over government's untested Unipass directive. I think on Friday we had the president of the Freight Forwarders Association in studio on Point Blank. And then on coronavirus, the paper says airport staff shy away from passengers from affected countries, call for changes at the airport to reflect preparedness, want more resources and health professionals.
So you have a lot of stories. I'm not going to worry you, Nathan. I want you to do page 2 of the Ghanaian Times because there are 3 security stories.
Yes.
There, and I'll give you a couple of follow-ups. The Sogakope story is there. There's also a policeman in trouble for
leading a robbery gang. And then there's something from Medina
as well. That was on the breakfast news this morning.
Right. So if you go to page 3 of the Ghanaian Times, gunmen ran amok, shoot, kill assembly member, son escapes with wounds and wife tortured. So the assembly member of the Sogakope South electoral area in the Volta region, Mr. Marcus Mauto Ajahli, was yesterday shot and killed by about 8 unidentified gunmen who stormed his residence at dawn. They shot him in the head and chest repeatedly and stabbed him many times in the ribs before bolting with a safe containing an undisclosed amount of money. According to neighbors of the deceased, his son escaped death with gunshot wounds while the wife was said to have been severely tortured. The victims are currently receiving treatment at the hospital. Sogakope has been thrown into a state of grief, fear, chaos and mourning over the incident, and the body of the deceased has been deposited at the Sogakope District Hospital mortuary.
Then a follow-up there. Angry residents blocked the bridge after the killing. This story came in yesterday. The killing of Sogakope South Assembly member sparked a protest from residents who were outraged by the perceived lack of action from the police. After earlier massing up at the police station, residents blocked the road leading to the Sogakope bridge to express their displeasure. It actually delayed the Heritage Caravan team by over an hour. The blockade caused gridlock, leaving many travelers stranded. Now, early Sunday morning, the assembly member who doubles as a mobile money vendor was shot and killed at his residence. That was the second story. Then the latest version is that calm has returned to Sogakope. This is on citynewsroom.com, and it reads, calm has returned to Sogakope in the Volta region following the gruesome murder of an assembly member, Marcus Mauto Ajali. Now, the story then says the DCE for Southtown, Emmanuel Louis Agama, assured aggrieved residents of Sogakope of his commitment to getting security issues in the area brought under control. Now, let's just hear what he said. Then later I'll do the other security stories quickly. This is the DC speaking to our team.
Yeah, when issues of such nature come, we call that set meeting and then we have briefing from the security chiefs. Recently, there were some policemen who were moved out of the district, about 15 of them, but those replaced were only 8 or 7. We need more police personnel to beef up with those in the district.
And then what assurances are you giving to your people?
Yes, I'll meet them at my office. So whatever grievances they will put across, we take it from there.
All right.
So that was the DC for South Tone speaking to Firma and a few other journalists. Still on security.
Yes, if you go to Medina, so I'm sure people know that story. Well, if you don't, a driver's mate has been arrested by the police in connection with the case in which a policeman was run over and killed by a trotro last Friday. This is from the head of the public relations of the Accra Regional Police Command, Deputy Superintendent of Police, Efia Tengen. She disclosed it to the Ghanaian Times yesterday, indicating that the driver's mate, whose name has been
She spoke to us as well. This is really, I mean, I know that area. So this has to be deliberate because it's slow moving traffic. So if the policeman stopped him, asked him to park for wrongful parking and wrongful loading, so it appears there was some sort of anger and the driver knocked him. Now still on the police.
Yes, if you go to Navrongo, or this story was written in Navrongo, a policeman stationed at Chianine in the Kasena Nankana West district of the Upper East region has been arrested and detained by the District Police Command for allegedly leading a gang to rob people of their monies, mobile phones, and personal belongings.
Seriously.
A police source which confirmed the story to the Ghanaian Times yesterday indicated that the suspect and 7 accomplices who were on the run robbed the victims at the Bolga Navrongo Motor Road near the North Dam Senior High School on Friday dawn at gunpoint. So the source said that when the policeman was grabbed and interrogated by the police, he claimed he was a victim of the robbery. But it was discovered that his phone and motorcycle were not taken from him, contradicting his statement.
So he was leading the criminals.
Yes.
Godfred.
Well, let me take you out of crime to business and other issues. And a couple of announcements, Bernard, before I take you to Unipass. This is very important. The Lands Commission
What are they doing?
have issued a notice to the general public, and they are saying they are bringing to the general public the following notice. The Client Services Access Unit is the one-stop shop where all business transactions at the Lands Commission are conducted. The public is cautioned not to deal directly with any middleman in their transaction of business at the Lands Commission. All payments with respect to transactions at the Lands Commission should be made at the on-bank site. The public should not pay money to any staff or middle person. Basically, they're saying it looks like they've upgraded a bit in their services. But let me tell you about Unipass. It's made the front page of a lot of newspapers this morning. Yes, on page 16 of the paper, the new customs clearing system known as Unipass will go live at all Ghana's entry ports except the Tema port. This follows a directive by the senior minister Yaosafo Mafo that from March 1, 2020, importers will be required to clear their imports through the new customs management system at the entry port. A list of 49 entry points expected to implement the Unipass, a paperless customs management system was attached to the directive, which also urged freight forwarders or their representatives to take steps to obtain their access codes. Now,
some papers are giving some conflicting.
Yes, I'll get to that. Now, meanwhile, the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders has expressed misgiving at the directive by the senior minister. According to the group, the decision was a slap in the face, considering that no successful pilots have been undertaken to independently test the system's robustness to accept that about 20,000 declarations that might be going through it daily. Speaking to the Daily Graphic in Tema last Friday, President of GIF, Mr. Edward Akron, questioned the rationale behind the whole arrangement and wondered what the freight forwarders would do with the said access codes. Coach, you want us to get access codes from who and onto what system? How are they going to operate? Mr. Akron asked rhetorically. He said, apart from Elubo and Aplao, the other collection points listed by the senior minister's directive were not on the GCNet system because those points used the single administrative document process since they did not have IT platforms to perform import declaration electronically. So I think today what we can do is
what's going on here? There's like some groups don't like the new system.
Well, there's not some groups. The freight forwarders are the ones who use the system and they say they don't like it.
They don't like it. Yeah, but are they the only stakeholders here?
Yes, basically.
But the government is determined to push this through?
Yes, to push this through. So we'll monitor what happens today.
Right. Because there were a few other headlines on Unipass.
Yes, if you go to Maritime on the front page of the BNFT, says the same thing. Importers unhappy over government's untested Unipass directive. Says that Ghanaian importers and clearing agents have expressed displeasure at government's decision to hand over single window port operations to Ghana Link and its overseas partner, Kupia Korea. According to them, this act by government will not only create chaos at the port, but erode all the gains chalked by the introduction of the paperless port. And everybody seems to be pointing a finger at Mr. Yaosafo Mafo.
Okay, so moving away from Unipass, the other big story is the coronavirus. Now, before you come in, let me just tell you that globally, cases have reached, in fact, deaths have reached 3,000 So if the death toll has exceeded, actually, so this is on the BBC, it's on all major global websites before you come locally, the number of people killed worldwide by the coronavirus has exceeded 3,000, as China reported 42 more deaths. More than 90% of the total deaths are in Hubei, the Chinese province where the virus emerged late last year. But there have also been deaths in 10 other countries, including more than 50 in Iran and more than 30 in Italy. Worldwide, there have been almost 90,000 confirmed cases, with the numbers outside China growing faster than inside China. In fact, the latest country to have the virus is Indonesia. This is what the South China Morning Post is reporting, that first coronavirus cases in Indonesia as global death toll exceeds 3,000. So,
and today, Australia has recorded the first human-to-human
Lord, this is not getting
case
any better.
of coronavirus. Basically means that most of the recorded cases, almost all the recorded cases had come from people who had traveled one way or the other. This
But
one, the
now-
person had not been anywhere. He was in Australia
Yeah.
and still picked up the virus.
So while this is going on, the Ghanaian authorities are saying what?
Well, yes, if you come to Ghana, it says Ghana will need 35 million cedis for adequate preparedness against COVID-19. That's per the World Health Organization, WHO. In an assessment report released on Friday, the WHO noted that in spite of a 2.5 million cedi allocation by government towards preparedness for any eventuality, the amount was insufficient. The organization identified funding gaps in areas of capacity building, surveillance, risk communication, laboratory equipment, and logistics in tackling a possible outbreak. It thus urged government to allocate more funds to implement various preparedness activities planned.
Now,
Well, on page 3 of the BNFT, it says that airport staff shy away from passengers from affected countries. Some staff of the Ghana Airport Company, Civil Aviation Authority, Customs, Excess and Preventive Service, and the Immigration Service, who work at the Kotoka International Airport, are jittery over news of Nigeria announcing its first coronavirus case last Friday. The staff are not comfortable with the setup at the airport to deal with matters concerning COVID-19, which is spreading from other continents to Africa. According to a source at the airport who spoke on condition of anonymity, some staff are shying away from searching passengers from Ethiopia and Emirates Airlines, the two major airlines that transit from China to Ghana. The staff told BNFT that many staff are hesitant to engage any flight from Nigeria. Hey. Now, you hold on. I'm giving you more details. Now, it says that loose scrutiny at Kotoka International Airport. Reports were arrived last week about porous checks at the airport, with some students from China claiming they were loosely scrutinized apart from a form they were asked to complete upon their arrival at KIA. Port health authorities have swiftly debunked the report, saying the questionnaire the students filled were health declaration forms, which was a mandatory measure recommended by the WHO. The authorities stressed that the forms were to aid personnel from the Ministry of Health to locate any entrant who starts to manifest symptoms of the virus.
Well, the Occupy Ghana sent out a press release, which I think is very sensible. They basically are suggesting a 7 action points for Ghana to get ready. They talk of surveillance, containment, prevention, testing, treatment, coordination, and finance. They have some very interesting suggestions that I'll read for you later.
Okay.
Now, the president has been talking about cocoa stuff.
Yeah,
I think it's in
lots.
Switzerland.
Yes.
Which is the world's
Yep.
leading processor of chocolate.
Yes, if you go to page 3 of the New Crusading Guide, it says the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, says Ghana no longer wants to be dependent on the production and export of raw materials, including cocoa beans. According to the president, Ghana intends to process more and more of its cocoa with the aim of producing more chocolate. And it adds a quote, because we believe there can be no future prosperity for the Ghanaian people in the short, medium, or long term if we continue to maintain economic structures that are dependent on the production and export of raw materials. End quote. He thus reiterated the commitment of government, quote, to add value to our raw materials and industrialize and enhance agricultural productivity. This is the best way we can put Ghana at the high end of the value chain in the global marketplace and create jobs for the teeming masses of Ghanaians.
You know, this is an important thing, but I'm just wondering why he's saying it in Switzerland. Because they have processed their chocolate. Unless he's saying it to say that we need some expertise. Because he should be telling us here. You know, I mean, if you are going to add value to your chocolate, why are you telling the person who occupies that market?
Well,
because
it falls in line with
and has no interest
I mean,
in you
why should
processing
he be
your
announcing
cocoa.
it in Switzerland? You get my point? If you are going to be here, we have the cocoa, and we need to process it here. So you should be telling our businessmen that we are going to be processing cocoa. Therefore, we are going to give you this incentive. But you have gone to the place which processes the most of your cocoa beans. Unless you're saying that means that you're not going to expect to buy raw beans from us anymore. Unless that's what he's trying to tell them. Do you get my point? Because I don't see why he's saying it there. Anyway, there's another story. In case you thought the Get Fund story was annoying, the few audit reports have come out, and this one on Citi Newsroom. Government spent $80 million to sponsor staff students abroad in first half of 2019. It has emerged that the government spent $11.4 million in the first 6 months of 2019 for the payment of allowances for government employees and sponsored students attending seminars and courses abroad. This is according to a report from the Auditor General of the Bank of Ghana's Foreign Exchange Receipts and Payments for half year ending June 30. Now, captured under transactions known as invisible payments, the allowance was meant to support manpower training development. Charlie, I'm out 40. Enjoy, pal. More details in the website. You can get the story there. All right, let's run through a few more stories.
I can give you a bit about politics. A Hutu MP makes case for fishermen. That is Mr. Afenyo Markin, and also a couple of primaries coming up. But the headlines there are not too palatable. So let me just give you the Afenyo Markin story. The member of parliament for Ifitu, Alexander Afenyo Markin, has protested vehemently against what he described as the continuous harassment and jailing of fishermen in Ifitu, instigated by people purporting to be human rights activists. He said those supposed advocates have questionable credibility and have been pursuing their selfish political agenda and not fighting human rights abuses in the fishing industry. Last Thursday, during the Futu Youth Conference to launch the Futu Dream, the angry-looking MP said he was getting involved in the case of the helpless fishermen and was prepared to offer free legal service to challenge some of the lies the so-called advocates who are being given tacit support from the NDC peddle against them in order to get them jailed.
We've heard. Nathan, we have two quick stories for you.
Yes, this one says Yaya Jammeh stole $500,000 pension funds. So a coalition of civil society organizations fighting the injustice meted out to some Ghanaians in the Gambia says fresh evidence indicates that former President Yaya Jammeh stole pension funds to settle Ghana in a dispute over the killing of 44 Ghanaians.
Wow.
According to the African Regional Advocacy and Communication Coordinator and member of the coalition, Jegan Gray Johnson, it emerged at the Gambia Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission investigating human rights violations under the Yaya Jammeh regime that the former head of state illegally took $500,000 to pay the government of Ghana. And
still in that paper?
Yes, still in that paper. It says Ghana scraps true and poor educational system.
Okay.
So the story reads, the country's woes of its human resources inability to transcend from theory into practice has been blamed on the true and poor or learn to pass examination methodology inherent in the current educational system. Dr. Yao Educhum, Deputy Minister for Education, held the view that has also been expressed by others, that the old methodology does not teach students to practice what they've been taught, and was delivering a keynote address at the National Stakeholder Engagement on the Common Core program in Accra last Friday.
Godfrey, I wanted to send you to your region, East Africa. Imported clothes in the region to cost more after tax review. So their government is pretty serious about protecting local industries. This story is on the East African website by James Anyanza. It says East African citizens will pay more for imported clothes should government go ahead with plans to raise taxes on imported textiles by between 30 and 35%.
Yeah, Rwanda has already done that.
The move is in line with a plan to protect textile industries that have been identified as strategic to the region. Part of the regional tax reforms will also see iron and steel, agro-processing and wood products imported into the region attract similar duty. The East African has learned that imported second-hand clothes will now be classified as sensitive and attract duty higher than finished products.
Yeah.
The regional private sector businesses are demanding a 32.5% duty on finished products to protect local business. Now, the tax has a four-band structure, they call it, structure. I think the East Africans are more serious when it comes to some of these things.
This has been, in fact, in Kenya, this should have been passed 2 years ago. Yeah. But there was a bit of political deadline because the Americans threatened them. What a lot of people don't know is that the force business contributes a significant chunk of foreign exchange to the U.S. government, if you look at the numbers.
So, let me give you some. Their new four-band tariff structure includes 0% import duty for raw materials and capital goods, 10% duty for intermediate products not available in East Africa, and 25% import duty for intermediate products available in the region. And these are the countries together.
Yeah.
Now, this was at an East African Business Council meeting. The region's top organ for private sector business proposed a fourth band, which includes 32.5% for finished products, and they want to include clothes and second-hand clothes as part of those products.
Yes.
Because they have a strong textile manufacturing side.
Yes, and like I said, Rwanda had already seen this through. What Kagame said was that when he looks at the balance of trade between them and the US. It will only cost them $22 million if they refuse.
Now listen to this. US, as you said, supplies 20% of total direct exports of used clothing to the region. Chinese exports of cheap ready-made clothes to East Africa also is 1.2 billion per annum. And so those two horses are going to be goaded. But the East Africans are determined to move this.
Yes,
ahead.
let me give you some quick headlines. Charlie, yesterday, Ash Gold went to Sogakope and got hammered 6-1.
After the anger of what happened
Yes,
to that
by
citizen,
Wafa.
there was no way they're going to come up with anything. The news review was brought to us by Total. Your car deserves the best treat.